Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a young girl named Rapunzel who had her long, golden hair, which flowed like a waterfall down the tall tower she lived in. Many years ago, the king and queen were so happy when she was born. But an evil witch, who was angry at the kingdom, put a curse on the young princess. The curse made Rapunzel's hair grow long and filled it with magical powers. To keep Rapunzel safe, the king and queen decided to send her to live in a hidden tower deep in the forest. They knew the witch would never find her there. The tower was so tall and it had no doors or stairs. The only way to enter the tower was through a small window at the very top. Now, there was a brave and kind-hearted prince who lived in a neighboring kingdom. He had heard of the beautiful girl with the long, golden hair locked away in a tower. He was determined to find her and rescue her. One day, as he was riding through the forest on his white horse, he heard a sweet voice singing in the distance. He followed the sound of the singing until he found himself standing beneath Rapunzel's window. Rapunzel had never seen a prince before. The prince introduced himself. As they talked, the two young people grew closer and closer. The prince vowed to come back every day to visit her. The witch had discovered the prince's visits. She stopped the two from seeing each other. The witch knew that if Rapunzel's hair was ever cut, its magical powers would be lost forever. So, she came up with a wicked plan. In evening, when the prince arrived at the tower, he called out to Rapunzel as usual. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," he cried. Rapunzel leaned out of the window and tossed her hair down for the prince to climb up. But as the prince reached the top, he was met not by Rapunzel, but by the angry witch. She held a pair of scissors in her hand, and before the prince could react, she cut off Rapunzel's long, golden locks. The witch banished the prince from the tower. The witch, who had taken Rapunzel's hair for herself, cast the young girl out of the tower and into the wilderness. Rapunzel was left alone and afraid, with no idea of how to survive in the outside world. As for the prince, he had wandered the kingdom in search of Rapunzel. One day, the prince and Rapunzel crossed paths in the forest. He recognized her. They ran into each other's arms. The prince vowed to care for Rapunzel and make her happy for the rest of their days.